Okay, quick rundown of color theory. What we have right here is subtractive color mixing. This is using the pigment of the CMY color palette. This is the mixing artists will use to create their paint colors. Then there is additive color mixing. Now this isn't actually going to show up like the real one because additive color mixing is with light only. You cannot recreate this mixing style using pigments or paints. Many people will try to trick you and say that mixing red, blue, and green paint together will make white when really it makes black or brown. This is real additive color mixing and it creates the CYM color palette and then mixed all together creates white. The reason why the CMY color palette is so widely loved is because they are the true primary colors, which means that they can create very highly saturated colors without muddying up the palette. Compared to RBY, which is very desaturated, you can see that the purple and the green are extremely desaturated here. Now let's compare these two palettes in actual painting scenarios. The RBY color palette is actually my favorite one to use. This is because I'm a portrait painter. I paint and draw a lot of people, and RBY can create a very wide variety of natural and desaturated skin tones. Our skin tones are all basically darker or lighter versions of brown, and RBY essentially creates brown when it is mixed together, unlike the CMY color palette where you will struggle a lot to try to get the colors to become muddy, desaturated, and brown, because none of these colors mixed together will create brown unless you add something like black. Then we also have nature. Nature is never going to have these insanely bright greens in it. And that is because cyan and magenta are not naturally occurring pigments. All the cyans and magentas you see are created in a lab or are just the closest they can get to a real version of it. I'm on an iPad so I can get the true colors easily, and this is the insanely bright green that I end up with. Then over with the RBY we can see that it is a very different vibe. This green is natural and desaturated. When I place these two colors over the image you can see more places where the RBY color can go, like the trees, the ground, the rocks, the water, and the bark, but the CMY has almost nowhere it can blend into. It sticks out like a sore thumb and is also the completely wrong undertone. The CMY one is super blue toned and doesn't have the warmth that the RBY one has. Why use CMY? Well, there are a ton of reasons to still use it, because if you add black to the CMY green it can actually make a very nice shadow to the RBY green. Also, a large majority of CMY painters are abstract artists. The bright saturated colors match the psychedelic immersion of abstract paintings perfectly. In conclusion, I think that no one should tell you what colors to use. You'll see a lot of videos telling you to stop using RBY and only use CMY, but that is not true. You can use whatever fits your painting preference the most, and I also think that instead of limiting yourself you should always make sure you're comfortable using both palettes. Because as I said before, there are some colors in CMY that will be good for realism paintings, and there are some in RBY that will be good in abstract paintings. So if you're an artist trying to figure out which one to use, just use both or whatever can create what you need specifically, because why should you limit yourself when you have the whole palette at your fingertips? Quick introduction to the color wheel. The color wheel is very important for an artist to learn. It shows you what colors go with what for mixing, designing, shading, and contrasts. Something that all artists should know about are complementary colors. These are colors that are opposite from each other on the color wheel. The reason you should know what they are is because complementary colors will look the best with each other. Combos like red and green, blue and orange, and purple and yellow are all colors that look best when next to each other. Especially if they are the same shade range. So dark with dark, pastel with pastel, and bright with bright. This is why we love Christmas, watermelons, strawberries, and all red and green things. Especially characters with these color schemes like Glinda, who is pink, a lighter version of red, and Elphaba, who is green, or Mario and Luigi. Then there's also Aang with his orange clothing and blue arrow, but also his girlfriend Katara contrasting with him as well, with her blue clothing. Also Merlin and Dory from Finding Nemo. Then there's Ann and Uzi, who are yellow and purple, same with Wario and Waluigi, and even Rapunzel with her bright yellow hair and bright purple dress. There are complementary colors hidden in every design because they are so pleasing and eye-catching. This is because they are high contrasting in warm hues and cool hues. These colors will also always make brown together when they are mixed. The best brown mixture is blue and orange because it has the best undertone to create a perfect warm and cozy brown. This is why when you mix red, yellow, and blue together it makes a wonderful brown color, because the red and yellow turn into orange and then blue makes it brown. Another thing that I also wanted to point out on the color wheel is when you are shading with two different colors of light. There is an ombre in between these two colors that you need to do when blending them together. To find that ombre of colors you can use the color wheel. Just pick the two colors you want to shade with, and then the colors in between them on the wheel will be the ombre colors in the middle. So for blue and orange, the ombre would go from orange to red to a warm purple to a cool purple and then blue. That is all. Character design using color contrast. When designing character colors, you should always try to know who your main characters are and who your secondary characters are, as well as their personalities. Your main characters most of the time should almost always be warmer colors. Warmer colors have longer wavelengths, which means they are the first colors that will catch your eyes and hook the viewer to the character. Many times people say that dyeing your hair or wearing red clothing will make you appear more attractive and confident. This is what I did with my main character Petunia. She is a ringmaster, so automatically she is going to be wearing the iconic bright red coat, but because she's also the main character, it puts the focus on her and her alone. Especially because all of my other characters do not wear red, she and her father are the only ones who do. Ariel wears pink, Timmy wears burgundy, and Robert wears orange, but she is the only one who wears red. This color also suits her because she is a confident, independent leader, so it makes sense for her to wear such a color. I also then made her eyes a bright green to contrast even more. Then we have her second place rival ringmaster Serena. Serena is a tragic character who is made to be a villain when really she just wants to be anything but a ringmaster. That is why Serena wears a bright blue. It's eye-catching but not as much as the red, and it is somber and gloomy. It is also not the regular ringmaster red, so it makes her look like she is misplaced. It also contrasts with her brown eyes and hair because brown is a darker orange. You might be wondering why I didn't make Serena green to contrast even more with Petunia, and that is because I didn't want a direct opposite to Petunia. I wanted someone who was similar to her in a way but still different. The green would have been too samey and too much like I was trying to make them polar opposites, but the blue and the red make them still be different but similar without it being obvious. But what about when your main character is a cooler color? This is mostly when we have a character who is different in other ways. For example, Uzi in Murder Drones is purple, but she's the main character and her boyfriend N is yellow. So why is Uzi a cool color? Well, that's because Uzi was designed to be an extremely out there and wacky character, to the point where her color didn't need to be bright and bold for you to immediately get drawn in. Especially because Uzi is more of a darker and emo character, it wouldn't make sense for her personality-wise to have a bright, warm, and happy color. Unlike her boyfriend N, who is a lot like a golden retriever. He is super happy all the time and a ray of sunshine. So it makes sense for this super happy guy to be a super happy color cause it fits his personality. I'd say if you want a strong character design, make sure you pick colors that match your characters' personalities as well as their role in the story. You don't want all your characters wearing bright red and then your main character looks boring compared to everyone else.